Hello, this is James Francis and welcome to another episode of Traffic Tuesdays. In this video, I'm going to show you very quickly how to scale your campaigns without throwing everything out of whack. You know the drill where you have a campaign that's working really well, maybe you're acquiring new subscribers or leads for a decent low price and you're attracting the right types of people into your online business to make yourself a nice profit at the lower end of the scale, and then you want to scale things up to get more of those people, to increase your sales and make your business a whole lot more profitable. But when you increase the budget, something weird happens within Facebook. Let's say you start getting higher lead costs, your cost per sale starts to increase. Why is that? Well, the thing is, whenever you adjust your budget within your Facebook ad campaign, Facebook's algorithm will then adjust and it will go back into the trial and error mode. Okay, it will go back into something called learning mode, and this happens behind the scenes a lot of the time. They're now introducing a new little feature which tells you when your ad is in learning mode, but behind the scenes we've learned through dealing with lots of different clients and ad accounts over the last year or so that it's actually really easy to scale your campaigns that are working well if you do things in the correct way, and I'm going to show you now what to do. So before we do that, I want to prove to you that what I'm saying is true, that I actually walk the walk as well as talk the talk. So you can see that I have lots of client accounts here, some of them spending upwards of £32,000 here in the UK, which is my currency. Of course, this is not the client's currency, just for my business manager as I live in the UK. But this client would be well over $50,000 or so. That's just one of their ad accounts. Another one here, for example, one of my other accounts, the main account was £66,000 or sorry, dollars. So that is way over £50,000 or so, which is awesome. So basically we've got well over 6 figures worth of ad spend in this business manager, which is just one of my many business managers, just to keep things separate. Just makes it easier to manage. So basically I know what I'm doing. Of course, you can see right here that these clients would not be able to spend this much money if their accounts weren't working well. Of course, where would that money come from? It's not just something that's generated out of thin air, right? It's based on the amount of sales they make, and they reinvest a part of the sales that they make, a part of the profit that they make back into the campaigns. So the way to make your campaigns scale really easily is as follows. Let me draw out this on screen with my handy bit of whiteboard pen. Okay, so let's say you're starting your campaign at, let's say, $20 per day. Okay, now what most people do is they go straight up. They think, wow, this campaign's working really well, I'm getting a positive return on investment, let's get that up to, say, $200 per day, and they do that massive leap. Now, if you think about it, the algorithm has only really had chance to see what works at the lower end of the scale at $20. Okay, so it doesn't really know anything beyond that. If they're, trying to get you the best results at that price point, they know what's going to work well, but they haven't yet tested what works well at the higher daily budget when you're trying to reach more of that target audience. Okay, so whenever you make that large jump up to $200, it has nothing to compare it to. Alright, whereas if you do this instead, it works a lot better. So what you can do is simply double the budget that you had previously up to $100. So from 20, if you go to $40 per day for roughly 3 to 4 days, that gives the Facebook algorithm something to compare it to, even very slightly, because it's not too big of a jump from 20 to 40. So it still has some data to pull from that lower end of the spectrum. Then we can go up to $80 per day or so. $60 to $80 per day. I usually do 80, like so we double it to 80, and then what I usually do, that's roughly near 100, so we can not so much go straight into doubling again. Otherwise you could go from 250 to 500 if you get to that stage of your campaign, and that's quite a big jump even still. So what you would need to do at this point is go into an interval of maybe 40 or 50. Okay, so from 80, I usually go to about 120, 130 or so, depending on what I was on previously, but usually this is the kind of format I follow. And then from 120, if I just go up here because I've run out of space, so we have 120 to, say, 200, because that's a bit more of a bigger leap. It's not as big as doubling it, but it's still, getting close to that, so we have 200. And then when I hit 200, I usually increase the budget by $100 every time. Okay, Now, of course, this is not, hours after each other. This should be after a period of around 3 to 4 days. Some people want to make sure, some of my clients say, I don't want the campaign to go totally out of whack, so can we make this run for 7 days per price point? So what we do is we then go to 300 and then leave that running for 7 days, and then that gives the Facebook algorithm enough time to determine what works well at that daily budget, and then we go to 400 and then 500 and 600, 700, 800 and so on until we get the campaign working really, really well at those higher price points. Then we can start to increase it even more and more. So past around $200 per day, you want to increase it to $100 per day past that. And of course, those of you who have successful campaigns will know that it's not just about throwing money into a black hole and hoping for the best, and you think, why would I want to spend more? If you're thinking right now, why do I want to spend more with Facebook ads? You probably don't have the right mindset to grow a successful campaign. But the logic is to teach you that, is that if the campaign is, of course, making you money, if you're investing $1 into the campaign and you're making back at least $2 back again after within 7 days preferably, but within 30 days ideally, then that means that, of course, you would do that all day long, right? If you could put $1 into a machine and it would spit out $2, how much would you do that? Can you imagine that? Like, you would just do that every day, all day long, right? And that's what Facebook advertising is all about. When you're able to invest $80 into a campaign and get back 160 within 7 days, you of course want to make the most of that. So you want to increase the budget. So you invest 120 and get back 240. You invest 200, you get back 400. So you're making these incremental gains in your profit every single day. Can you imagine where you're at $200 per day and you make back $400 in sales at the very minimum within 7 days, preferably? That's the goal. And then you would do that every single day. That's $200 per day. Then you want to increase that budget to $400 per day. So you're making $400 in net profit after advertising spend per day. Then you increase that even more. So eventually, of course, the end goal is to get to the point where you're spending, say, $1,000 per day or something. And that means, from $30,000 spent every single month, you're making back $30 at the $30,000 per month in net profit after paying your advertising. But of course, that is the bare minimum. You should be looking at, say, a 3-to-1 return, ideally within 7 days is the ideal scenario. But that's just, of course, the worst case scenario to give you some ideas. So basically, long story short, if you are having trouble scaling your campaign to get more and more customers at a profit, you increase the budget, it's just throwing everything out of whack. You may be increasing the budget too quickly, or you're increasing the budget by too much of an increment. So instead of going from let's say $20 per day to 200, let's try going from 20 to 40 first, and then 40 to 80, then 80 to 120. That gives the algorithm time to adjust, time to learn, and give you the best results possible. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Traffic Tuesdays. Let me know in the comment section below if you have any questions about this, and I will see you next week. See you there. Bye-bye.